Hey, what's up, guys? It's Sin, and we're going to be covering just only two topics because I think I bit off more than I can chew with my processor and my PC and stuff. Yes, welcome back to the channel. It's been a while. Hi, yeah, guys, we got a new mic. So the last video that I put out was the first Senate Cheaters video, or I'm sorry, the X Defiant Cheaters video. And now we're playing First Senate. If you haven't been in stream, come by and just stream and say hi. I can't speak English very well because I'm a little slow, I'm not gonna lie. So the weirdest thing just happened today. The Birdman. If you don't know who the Birdman man, the Birdman is. He does videos critiquing CinemaSins. I enjoy him. He's done phenomenal job. Phenomenal job. See, I can't speak English. It's fine. We're just gonna keep rolling with it because I'm a human being and sorry, not a voice actor like the Birdman. Um, the weirdest beef just took place today, and it's going to be for the critical drinker that he was talking about, and it kind of blew my mind as to his approach with it. I'm going to show you what the Birdman said, and then I'm going to show you, I guess, it's going to be mostly about the MCU and like Marvel and Disney and the current state of that. And there's split between people that are loving Marvel. There's split between people that are just like, oh, this is woke garbage. I'm not playing any left or right side. What doesn't make any sense to me is how people are approaching these certain topics, what they mean, and what does it mean to go woke and go broke. Now, again, I'm not picking sides. I just thought it was pretty silly of the Birdman to be critiquing the critical drinker, and I thought it was a troll. And then I watched the whole video, and it kind of took me back. I just don't understand the reasoning for it. So, cue intro me, and it's probably gonna take me all day. It's my only day off, so leave a like, leave a dislike, or leave a comment. Please explain to me because I went to the comments of Birdman, and they are not too nice for the critical drinker. These guys are been doing the Lord's work in their respective fields and beefing between them. I kind of can guess who can destroy who in a conversation. I'm not gonna lie to you. So yeah, just cue intro. Okay, so again, this is exactly what I was talking about. After my little spiel in the intro, I have two videos and two statistics pulled up. And I'm just going to talk about just the in general sense of where Marvel is right now. And people can collectively agree that Marvel is not in a good place right now. I mean, you have to take into account that Wolverine and Deadpool is probably the best movie they put out. And let me tell you, it was not because of any director, it's purely because of Ryan Reynolds. He co directed it, I believe. He wrote some of the script, and he's been kind of doing that since the first couple Deadpool movies. That much has been proven. He said it himself. So I'm going to show you two videos. I'm going to show you the Birdman's video, and we're going to critique that. And then I'm going to show you the Critical Drinkers video. And I want you to put two and two together. If you would like to do more research, you're more than welcome to. I'm not trying to be biased here. I just think it's kind of silly, the kind of video that Birdman put out, kind of trying to throw the critical drinker under the bus. And I'm not gonna lie, it's mostly race baiting, which is surprising coming from the Birdman. And I'll just have to show you the video, and then we can talk about what exactly he's saying specifically, and then break that down. And oh, video. Okay, so we're trying to film more. I bought film more. I really like this. So the only thing you can't see is the green screen. I'd be blended it, but that's fine because it's supposed to be a video. I'm not. I'd use the green screen for streaming anyways. So again, I'm gonna be showing you two videos. Here is the Birdman. I don't actually. I'm gonna have to see if you can see where my mouse is. So we're gonna watch a video from the Birdman, and as you can see, it's gonna get juicy. And then we're gonna watch a video that the Critical Drinker put out. This has to do with Marvel. We have two statistics pulled out, and then my recording software. So remember, it's going to be long video. So we're going to play this in its entirety. We're going to pause and talk about each individual subject. Okay, like I said, I don't like taking context out of people. We're going to watch the entire thing. Unfortunately, it's 25 minutes, and unfortunately, we still have another 9-minute video that the Critical Drinker put out. I think we're looking at towards an hour, so I apologize if it's too long, but give it a chance. Okay, it doesn't really make any sense to me.
The illusory truth effect is a phenomenon that was first detailed in a 1977 study. It's the inclination of people to believe false information after being exposed to that false information many times. Repeated exposure to lies caused the false information to feel familiar to the participants. In that study, they found out that the more familiar the information feels, the more likely that familiarity overpowers a person's rationality. In other words, the more you hear something, the more it feels right. Further studies.
What the fuck are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about, Kanye? The more you hear something, the more it feels right. Okay, sorry. I'm sorry. Let's go back.
Showed that the illusory truth effect could even make people have false memories, and that people with names that were easier to pronounce were more readily believed by participants of the study. This is a powerful psychological tool that grifters employ on their audience, and its effects are seen every single day. How many times have you heard vaccines cause autism or go woke, go broke? There is a reason these people repeat these mantras over and over, even in the face of conflicting evidence, and that's because repeating false information makes it more likely to be believed. Here's a network graph of the phrase go woke, go broke on Twitter from August 2022 to February 2023. The blue represents left-leaning users, while the red represents right-leaning users. The irony of the shape formed by right-wingers isn't lost on me. A literal dickhead. This brings me to the subject.
Birdman, what the fuck are you talking about? Truly, what are you talking about here? I want you to pay attention to his tone. Go back and watch some of the Birdman videos, and then come back and listen to his tone. Mind you, I told you, he is a voice actor, so there's context there. So I don't know if it's a troll or if he's serious. Right now I'm thinking he's a troll, right? And then we go into the rest of the video.
Subject of this video, Will Jordan, aka The Critical Drinker. Tell me, how many times have you heard him say, "The message"? What's up, everyone? It's your friendly neighborhood Birdman here. Today, I'm going to question why people believe this grifter and show you precisely why you shouldn't.
Oh.
We'll have to cut that. You didn't see nothing, okay? I had to take ad blockers off. Jesus.
Due to the kinds of people this video is sure to attract, I think I need to put my cards on the table. Firstly, I am not a political type. I rarely, if ever, bring up politics, and when I do, it's usually to make fun of them, left or right. For this behavior, I have been routinely called right-wing and left-wing by people who make politics their entire identity. My position is that political folk are mirror images of each other participating in the Spider-Man meme, where they blame each other for doing exactly what they themselves are doing, something the drinker is heavily guilty of. I think it's silly to adhere to political sides because at some point in time, you're going to have to defend nonsense to maintain the integrity of being on that side. The only side I'm on is reason, logic, facts, science, and math. So believe me, when I criticize...
So you heard that right. Reason, logic, math, science. Okay.
As this very obviously right-wing chud, I'm doing so out of the spirit and integrity of unbiased media discourse, which is something I care about deeply. Less important, but still worth the mention, I'm not doing this out of jealousy or an attempt to clout chase. I've been calling out a much bigger YouTuber for nearly 7 years. For me, this is simply calling out another bad critic. That out of the way, it's difficult to know where to even start with this guy. He is absolutely rich with misinformation, outright lies, and baffling takes that don't stand up to even an ounce of scrutiny. In my last video, I played an excerpt from his infamous Across the Spider-Verse video.
Also, I can't shake the feeling that the script is doing everything in its power to play down Peter Parker, like it's afraid the audience will somehow start rooting for him over Miles if he's shown to be too capable and confident. The first movie portrayed him as an aging, burned out loser who only redeems himself at the end, while the second film morphs him into a bumbling, hapless father in a pink bathrobe who for some reason keeps taking his baby along on life-threatening adventures despite having a perfectly capable mother at home to look after it. Is this some weird attempt to mock and belittle the Spider-Man that most people know and love, who incidentally just happens to be the only straight white man in the entire movie? I don't know, man, it just kind of leaves a sour taste in my mouth, that's all.
The first thing you'll notice if you've seen that movie is that he's just blatantly incorrect. Peter B. Parker is not the only straight white male in the film. In fact, there are many of them, quite a few of them variants of Peter Parker himself. More importantly, there is a prominent supporting character that is the motivation for Spider-Gwen's entire arc in the film: Captain Stacy. The next issue you might see is the claim that Peter is being irresponsible by bringing his daughter on, and I quote, life-threatening adventures despite having a perfectly capable mother at home. Again, if you've watched this movie, you'd know that Peter's presence in the film was entirely to be a familiar face for Miles and to help him accept his canon event, not go on a life-threatening adventure.
You're the reason I had her, okay? I thought that if I did a decent job raising her, that there was a chance she was gonna turn out like you. And that got me excited because you are a wonderful person, and I like being around you.
Moreover, May Parker has superpowers, and her dad would likely be the only one in the relationship physically capable of corralling the clearly energetic child. What's more is he brought her to probably the safest environment she could possibly be: a hub with a million other superheroes. The less obvious observation is that Will is a race baiter. The Spider-Verse films, while featuring a black protagonist, do not contain the themes of race relations. The more astute of you will then ask, well, why even bring that up at all? And therein lies the problem. Will's goal with many of his film reviews is to galvanize his mostly male, mostly white, and mostly straight audience around the idea that they are being attacked for being those three things. You do this often enough.
So, am I a white male Birdman? And mind you, I watch both of you guys, right? Like, you guys been doing this for a hot minute. Am I a straight white male? What was the point of saying that unless you are specifically trying to race bait here, and a pretty terrible attempt at that? And I'm sorry, but you're pulling up these statistics. Mind you, the Spider-Man multiverse, or whatever it was called, me personally, just me personally, I'm not a big Spider-Man fan. However, it was a great movie, but there still is question of why was he there? And I agree. Like, why was he there? He was there specifically for Miles, and he saw, something in his kid that he saw in Miles. Like, yeah, I guess that could be like an old uh, cliche that's been used. It was like, oh, you remind me of my son, or I see a lot of my whatever and my whatever, and. But to lash out like that does not make any sense at all. Secondly, well, that'd be the third reason is it's just how the story was written. So he was specifically talking about the movie, and you're projecting your emotional feelings onto the critical drinker. Now, the difference between what you do with Jeremy versus what you just did with the critical drinker, the only the only thing that you're really saying is you don't like it when straight white men make videos like this, Jeremy leaning towards the left side, and obviously the critical drinker leaning towards the right. And you said that you think it's silly. So why go out of your way to make a video about the critical drinker and then emotionally project onto him? We'll continue the video.
And the audience will begin to believe it. Hence, that atrocious reading of Across the Spider-Verse. But it gets even better. Here he is doing the same thing to the Batman.
Seems to be a bit of a debate going on about whether or not this movie is woke, mainly because of the demographics of certain characters. And to be fair, there is a bit of evidence to support this claim. If I was a cynical man, I'd say it's kind of interesting that the rich, corrupt scumbags targeted by the Riddler all happen to be straight, white, middle-aged men, but hey, I guess that's just a total coincidence.
Seriously.
Objectively looking at the video, objectively looking at his critique about the movie, what is true? What is factually true? Didn't you say you use logic and reasoning? Logically, you can look at the film and you could reason that that is correct. We're gonna listen to his opinion on it. If it's factual, right? It's Batman. Of course, there's a lot of white dudes in Batman. What does that have to do with anything? They're all well-written characters. Penguin, Riddler, Batman. There's, Superman. There's Lex Luthor. Superman is white. Lex Luthor is white. His wife is white. Like, what are you talking about here? It's just how the story is written. But how the new Batman was portrayed was go woke, go broke. Now, I personally like that movie. So what's being really talked about here?
What the fuck does this movie have to do with race? He has straight white men in his mouth so often you'd think he was an escort. If he applied even a little of that gray matter.
And exactly. So what does the movie have to do with race? They're just well-written characters. We've already established this. Catwoman has been race swapped even back in the day. Like, what's her face that played Storm? She played Catwoman, right? In her own spinoff movie, and that movie did terribly. But in the universe of Batman, she's a well-written character. So this whole definition thing of bringing up race aren't you guilty of calling the kettle black? Aren't you guilty of doing the same exact thing, bringing up statistics? If it's about the film, then I think you can omit anything to do with color. I think you, as a person, can just reason logically that the statistics of white, black, whatever, it's about the story being written. It's well known, Birdman. So I don't understand why what is this projection that you're doing? So, like I said, I was kind of taken back at his opinion. So
maybe he'd come to the conclusion that most rich people in our society tend to be white men. The Riddler was going after police officers and politicians, and again, in our society, they tend to be white.
that is so. Remember how you said logical reasoning, math, science, statistics. Okay, statistically, no, it's not mostly white men. There's a lot of different out of country, different color, skin tones, Arabic, Indian, African. You have these really high up political leaders, but if you're talking about the United States, the billionaires, sure, but even in the billionaire stance, no, it's not mostly white. You're talking about our politicians, it's kind of split in between because if you go on the left side and the right, you see a lot of really high black people, let's say, have a lot of funding and they get paid 120 a year, whatever, and then they're coming out to their net worth is like 250 million. So I'm not understanding. Like, at least pull up the statistics of the people that do have money, because they're mostly white, yes, but because we're minorities, and obviously you got more of this, you're gonna have more of that. You have less of this, you have less of that. So it's like, where's the reasoning here? I feel like he got up and he just chose violence, but we're gonna continue.
Drinker is asking for here is diversity, but only amongst the villains of the film. Moreover, what he's conveniently leaving out is Riddler also attempted to assassinate the mayor-elect, a black woman. If all of this wasn't baffling...
What is a mayor, Birdman? What is the mayor's purpose? A high official leader? Didn't you just pull up the statistics? So you might want to include the small percentage of the minority that actually are in the higher end of the future. I'm okay. I keep stopping. I'm sorry, but I'm just like, I had to pause this video so many times. Only a 25-minute video. I was just like, what are you talking about, Birdman? What are you talking about? They're supposed to be critiquing movies. What's this whole race debate about? That's what I'm saying. It's just so weird that Birdman is taking this point, and he's been saying a lot of weird stuff on Twitter. I'm not gonna lie, and I've left him comments. I mean, it's rarely does he respond to me, if ever, because I'm rarely on the platform. But some of the takes are just L's, man. Like, I'm sorry. Just if you want to specifically do movie critiquing, just do your job, bro. Just movie critique. If you want to talk about race, make another channel and talk about race and all that BS. But it doesn't sound like you're saying I don't play the left or the right. It kind of sounds like you are. It just kind of sounds like you are. I'm sorry. And we'll also critique the critical drinker. Don't get me wrong. I'm not hammering on the Birdman. It's kind of silly to me, really.
Enough, he himself states this film isn't about race.
And to be fair, Kravitz and Jeffrey Wright both do a great job with the roles they're given, and apart from one poorly judged line from Catwoman right at the end, race never really comes into the picture. So I guess what I'm saying here is that while the movie takes a few little stabs at modern day social issues, it really never dominates the narrative.
Does he even hear himself? Listen to this incredible leap in logic for Godzilla vs. Kong.
And oh look, Kong's been abducted from his homeland and taken across the ocean to America in chains. I mean, there's on-the-nose writing, and then there's next-level stuff like this. I wonder who you're supposed to sympathize with here.
Yes, Drinker just called African slaves apes and tried to frame it as the screenwriters doing so.
I'm sorry, he said. Okay, let's go back and listen to the comparison. Let's listen to that again. That is not what he said. And again, you're projecting your emotional feelings onto it. That's not even remotely close to what he said.
Kong's been abducted from his homeland and taken across the ocean to America in chains. I mean, there's on-the-nose writing, and then there's next-level stuff like this. I wonder who you're supposed to sympathize with here.
Yes, Drinker just called African slaves apes and tried to frame it as the...
He didn't call them apes. It was a comparison to the slaves being brought over. He didn't call slaves apes. He compared the same situation to sympathize emotionally. What the film used, and he kind of trolled you, and you fell for it. But it's meant to set up to, like, he was sedated, he was brought over, kind of remind you of people that were, okay, they weren't sedated, but they were brought over illegally, or legally, whatever. It was wrong. He did not call them apes. He just made a comparison. You are reaching, bro.
Screenwriters doing so. That, my children, is what we in the English-speaking world call projection. And like almost every observation...
The irony. The straight-up irony of the usage of the word projection.
This guy makes, it's hilariously wrong. They're not even taking Kong to America. They're going to Antarctica in this scene. So not only did he get the scene wrong, he saw racial themes in a film where there are none because his brain immediately goes to black people when he sees an ape in chains. In my last video, I showed a tweet by Drinker that I thought made it painfully obvious what his positions on black people in the media were. What I didn't account for was the insane mental gymnastics people would perform in order to deny that his post was racist in nature. So here's a tweet from a different person. If you're unfamiliar, this person is Nick Fuentes, a proud white supremacist. Sounds contradictory, I know, what with being a Mexican and having a name like Fuentes while being a white supremacist, but no one ever said white supremacists were intelligent. The point is, doesn't this tweet seem to be placing emphasis on a specific character in the Minecraft movie? I mean, now that I've told you this person is a white supremacist, it's obvious what his issue is, isn't it? So I'll ask again, what do you honestly think Will's problem with this image was? Do you really believe he's this upset about Jason Momoa's character here? Hold that thought. We're just getting started.
Conservatives do this thing where they'll sit in a room, they'll watch a girl and a guy go into the other room, and they'll hear her screaming for 30 minutes and then come back out like bloodied and bruised, and you'll be like, bro, did that guy just beat the shit out of her? And the conservatives will look you in the eye, dead in the eye, into the ovals of your soul. They will look into you, and they will say, I didn't actually see it happen. Did you? How can you improve that? Like, why would you assume that? Do you even fucking know? Like, they're the most shameless bad faith people need. They're shameless.
One of the tactics of
The fact that you're using a quote from Destiny is this is on YouTube. You said you didn't lean left or right. Why are you using a far left extremist like Destiny, who's taken more L's than his wife has taken more dick? Birdman, what are you talking? What are you trying to conclude here? What is your point? What is your objective? Are we critiquing a movie, or are you critiquing him as a person? Like, what? At this point, I'm just completely lost. Like, I'm at a loss for words. I have to make a video, so I need to speak. What are you talking about, man? Mental gymnastics? You going toe to toe with comments on YouTube is absolutely insane, because there's more trolls in the comment section of YouTube than people that actually taking critiquing videos seriously. I don't understand.
grifters and their parrots is to attempt to maintain an air of plausible deniability so that when they are criticized for their bigotry, they can hide behind deflections. In my previous video, I brought up one of them, the "but Ripley from Alien" defense. In short, these people try to use examples that match or are similar to the identity of a group that they regularly target to pretend they are not prejudiced against that group. In political discourse, this is probably more well known as, "but I have black friends." We know that doesn't actually work as a defense because we have actual history of slave owners falling in love with their slaves and that male sexists still love their female family members. But when you have sustained and consistent campaigns against certain groups of people, it's entirely reasonable to suggest you have a dislike for those groups. For Will, one of those groups is women. Let's examine one of the most egregious cases of Will's attempts at plausible deniability. On January 5th, 2020, Drinker uploaded a video about The Mandalorian. In it, he had this to say about Gina Carano.
But for the life of me, I'll never understand.
So what do we just go over about projecting Birdman? I don't think the Critical Drinker has ever put out a video saying that he specifically only hates women, because that would be incel activity. Is what I'm concluding with logic and reasoning, right? What you just said, the reason that you're saying this is because you think he hates women. He has never put out a video saying that he specifically hates women. How the MCU characters are written are just bad. They're terrible, dude. She is, well, hold on.
Understand why they cast Gina Carano. I mean, she's big and burly, and she obviously knows what she's doing when it comes to the fight scenes, but she's a fucking cage fighter, not an actor. Watching her trying to emote.
Which is correct. What was done to her from the MCU was probably, she was done dirty, and she won. And there's a lot of people helping her and on her side. But he's right. He's right. Are you gonna go back and bring up Mike Tyson? Okay, I know it's Mike Tyson. He can beat my ass. Like, it's Mike Tyson. But in Ip Man 4, when you saw Mike Tyson, he didn't really speak a lot because he's not an actor. Conor McGregor is not an actor. They're terrible actors. That is a factual statement. They put more time into it. Sure, they can be great actors. I'm not saying that, but she's not the greatest actor. That's a factual statement.
is almost as painful as watching Brie Larson trying to be funny. Oh well, it could have been worse. They could have cast Ronda Rousey.
Pretty obvious he dislikes this person and thinks she shouldn't be an actor.
he doesn't dislike her as a person. He just said something factual. Bird, what do you, dude? It's sad. Ronda Rousey as an actor, how many movies has she been in? Does she have a lot of lines? No. Does she get put in combat movies? Yes. Is she an expert in her field? Absolutely. Is she an expert in her field? This girl right here? Absolutely. Obviously. But as an actor standpoint, no, they're not. Again, Conor McGregor sucks at acting, and he says that it was the hardest thing he's done. That man has fought in the ring how many times? It is not hate towards her because she is specifically a woman. No, because you all said the same thing about Conor McGregor and his movie, but you enjoyed the movie regardless, right? Did you enjoy Ip Man 4 and Mike Tyson? I enjoyed that movie. I enjoyed all these movies. The Mandalorian was fire first season, but there was just terrible acting, and there's a difference. She's not saying it to hate on her because she's a woman. He's saying that because of how she's written. She just so happens to be a woman. If he hated women, he would be on Reddit saying he hates women. That is not what he's saying at all.
Actor. Fair enough. However, later that year,
Oh well, it could have been worse. They could have cast Ronda Rousey.
pretty obvious he dislikes this person and thinks she shouldn't be an actor. Fair enough. However, later that year, Gina got into a string of spats on Twitter that had her facing accusations of racism and bigotry, and she was subsequently fired by Disney. Then, a few months later, Drinker makes a video about Gina so embarrassing, you just have to hear it to believe it.
Gather round, dear viewer, as I tell you a tale. It's the tale of a woman who stood tall in the face of jealousy, cowardice, hatred, and vengeance, and dared to utter a single word. No. It's the story of the girl who wouldn't back down. She fought and won many battles and earned herself great acclaim. But the young woman had her eyes set on a higher goal, and eventually she gave up her life of fighting, travelling instead to the great kingdom of Hollywood to seek fame and glory as an actor instead. And as it turns out, her long years of training and fighting served her well, and soon she was chosen for many roles on the silver screen. Her triumph was cemented when the king and queen chose her to play a soldier, fighting amongst the stars themselves. Her fame was growing fast, but sadly, so was her list of enemies.
This is a flip-flop so insane, it could put Crocs and Birkenstock out of business. And this isn't even the only video he's made about her. Listen to this nonsense.
One of the problems with hiring strong independent women to work at your company instead of the usual assemblage of soft, entitled, like-minded corporate drones that have never had an original thought in their entire lives is that they don't always think, say, or do the things that you want them to. Case in point, Gina Carano, a former women's MMA fighter turned actor who was brought in to play Cara Dune on The Mandalorian, and at first, all seemed well. The show was a success and Carano's character soon became a fan favourite. Unfortunately,
Birdman, why are you reaching so hard? You've said this. He has said that. Let's continue, because I promise you, it's gonna make sense what he says. It doesn't make any sense why Birdman's making a video saying this is what she said and this is what, brother. What trajectory did The Mandalorian take after season 1? Factual. Has nothing to do with him hating women at all. You just heard it, but you said it was nonsense.
she began to ruffle feathers behind the scenes at Disney Lucasfilm by refusing to spout the same politically acceptable talking points as everyone else at the company, and even dared to express some conservative political views at times.
He spoke about this person like she was a dog, outright saying she can't even act, but as soon as she spouts nonsense and conspiracy theories and gets fired for her troubles, he's writing poems and puff pieces.
But for the life of me, I'll never understand why they cast Gina Carano. I mean, she's big and burly, and she obviously knows what she's doing when it comes to the fight scenes, but she's a fucking cage fighter, not an actor. Watching her trying to emote is almost as painful as watching Brie Larson trying to be funny.
This man is shameless. If it isn't obvious,
Birdman, you can have two truths. There are two truths. People will say that you're a hater because you like to make videos about CinemaSins. You made your entire identity trolling Jeremy about his terrible critiques about doing movie CinemaSins. And then you make your own videos critiquing movies, doing the same thing that he does about movie sins. You can have two truths. You're both movie critics. No, he is also a movie critic. You've done the same thing. Where is this hypocrisy coming from, man? I don't understand. He says, again, it started off strong. Mandalorian. I enjoyed Mandalorian. Mind you, I don't even like where the MCU is at. I've told you plethora of times in your comments. I told you plethora of times on Twitter. That is not what people are saying. They're saying how badly it is written. The tokenization, the race swapping, right? They're just terribly written. Had they wrote the story to be better for the Mandalorian without all the women power and all that, and that's factual evidence for you, Bird. The ratings are garbage. Where is he wrong? Like I said, she can be a great actor if she just puts more time into it. I can be a great whatever if I put more time into it. I'm not snazzy with making videos. Obviously, you're gonna see the terrible cuts, and it's gonna be hard. Whatever. I'm not claiming to be an expert in this field, but I just think I had to make a video about how much you're being a hypocrite here. He doesn't hate women. He's not hating on her just because she's a woman. She did come from a world of fighting. She is an expert at that. Not a good actor. Those are factual things. Why can't we have more than one truth? And that truth be solid? I guess. Again, we got the rest of the video. And no, he did not talk to her like she was some dog. Okay. I don't know about you, but the American people, we love dogs and we don't like to see dogs mistreated. So to say that you've been treating it like, what are you implying? How do you treat your dog then, Birdman? Are you like abusive towards your dog? See, that's me reaching. No, you treat your dog with as a family member, the utmost respect, like you love your dog. But to be treated as a dog is kind of disingenuous towards the critical drinker and her. No, he didn't make that comparison. You did. You made that comparison. No one else said it. You did.
obvious by now, he has a clear political agenda, and this colors his work. Before he knew she shared political opinions that align with his grift, she was a girl boss, only here to promote Kathleen Kennedy's woke agenda, and shouldn't have even been cast. But now, she's a shield he can use to deflect criticism about his obvious disdain for strong female characters. You know, look over here and pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Has spoken!
Who are you?
Downy Rinse and Refresh helps remove odors 3 times better than detergent alone. Rinse odor away.
Speaking of a curtain,
Has spoken!
Who are you?
speaking of agendas, the Barbie movie and his subsequent analysis evaporated any hope I had left for this man's integrity. Listen to how he sums up the marketing of the film and then his reading of the actual film's release.
Now, before I dive into this review properly, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the hard work and genius PR campaign of the Warner Brothers marketing department. You guys really pulled off a miracle with this one, successfully duping all of us, including me, into believing that Barbie was going to be just another colourful, light-hearted, easygoing family comedy with some cheeky, self-aware humour, ironic meta gags, and probably capped off with a blandly inoffensive female empowerment message about girls learning the value of their own potential. What none of us expected was 114 minutes of spiteful, bitter, mean-spirited, borderline unhinged hatred of men and everything even vaguely associated with them. Barbie is like the deformed, mutated rage child of Captain Marvel, Ghostbusters 2016 and She-Hulk. It is pure brain cancer in movie form, and I was genuinely shocked by the sheer, undisguised contempt this film has towards 50% of the human population.
Besides the fact that this is one of the most hyperbolic, nonsensical summations of this movie, how could he have possibly come to that conclusion for the film's marketing? It was plainly obvious that Margot's Barbie was the main character and that she would face an existential crisis.
Yeah, because when we're talking about Barbie, that's exactly what we're going to be looking for in the movie adaptation of a, 80s doll. That's exactly what we expect, Birdman. He said the marketing was just a go happy lucky family friendly. If I recall, that movie specifically, it wasn't even about the main character Barbie, right? People were saying Ken. People voted up how Ken was written. It is a movie about a little girl's toy, a Barbie. You're not supposed to conclude anything. You can make the story about anything. It is a Barbie movie. There's been a lot of kids shows about Barbie. What? What are you saying?
Do you guys ever think about dying?
On top of that, they show Barbie's feet going flat, suggesting that the film would be clearly feminist in nature, as feminists have been arguing against heels for decades. The marketing material also shows Barbie entering the real world and experiencing sexual assault, and I can only conclude that Drinker's media literacy is questionable at best. To belabor this point, he's been caught changing the titles of his videos after a media property releases to hide his terrible perception of marketing material. And if all that wasn't enough to prove that Mr. Jordan has the integrity of a sandcastle, here's something that was brought to my attention. On one of Drinker's live streams, he attributed a false quote to Isabella Merced about the failure of Madame Web.
Some of the stars of the film have got theories about why that is, and one of them is right here. Isabella Merced, is that the word? Merced?
Sure. Yep.
She said it failed for one simple reason. For the same reason that the Marvels or Bird of Prey failed, because the male audience still hides a deep contempt for everything that is starring strong, independent women.
Oh, God. The truth is the truth, I guess.
Sure.
Remember you just said that people would change up what they have said. Everyone is guilty of that due to corrections. You see this guy right here, Nerd Erotic and Mahler. These guys pack heat on their extension of knowledge that they study in. If you ever watched A Little Platoon, these are all movie critiquers. Nerd Erotic and Critical Drinker Nerd Erotic, Critical Drinker, Mahler. These guys are up there as far as critiquing a movie. Mahler, let's say it like this. Birdman, you put out like 30-minute videos. Mahler would put out like a 2-hour long video, specifically critiquing every single thing in a movie. Critical Drinker probably puts out 10-minute, 9-minute videos. Same thing as Nerd Erotic, 10, 12-minute. Mahler and Little Platoon. I don't know much about Robert. Mahler and Little Platoon are putting out like hour-long videos critiquing. So if they're all in agreement, someone must have said something. Now, can I pull it up and then a quote is changed? Yeah, but when did this video take place? Like, did we check facts before, or are we just going off our head? Because factually, I know that these guys are very respected in what they do, and you seem to have associated them with right-wing people, which they just use the same thing that you use: logic, reasoning, science, math. They look at the data. They look at who changed up what. They're movie critics, dude. It's nothing to do politically. Now they could be on shows that have stuff to do, or it has to do with political views. Like Piers Morgan, but that's just a show, dude. Like what they do for a job, they critique movies. Critical Drinker is just getting more famous. Nerd Erotic is just getting more famous. As I recall, we'll use Nick Merckx for example. Prior to that, he was a gamer, right? What kind of videos is he putting out now? He's putting out more reviews. He's a gamer that makes content. Now he's just a content creator making videos randomly, and you can kind of see that sporadically on YouTube. So it's like, what conclusion are we coming to here? Like, I don't understand.
Sure. I mean, that's definitely the reason Birds of Prey failed and the Marvels. It wasn't because they were bad films that no one wanted, for sure.
Isabella was, of course, inundated with hate from parrots that took these quotes at face value because why would grifters lie to them? She then had to come out and deny these clearly false allegations, but by then, the damage was already done. To date, there has been no update, no retraction, no public apology on Twitter from Will Jordan for spreading this quote, and that's because he has a vested interest in seeing the culture war proliferate in media discourse, as this is
He has nothing to do with the culture war. He's just critiquing culture war. That is the most L view thing that Birdman has said, is that, oh, it's about women, it's about this, about that, yada, yada, yada. They're not doing tokenization, just how the story is written. Let's critique the movie. Like, dude, no, it's a terribly written movie. It's a terribly written. The writers are trash. It was a terrible movie when it came out. The movies that he's been listing they have gotten terrible reviews. Why are you taking one specific thing that's one person said and not looking at the statistics and the people that have all generally agreed that those movies are trash? And my woman hater for saying that Captain Marvel, which is one of my favorite characters in comic book history, next to Wolverine, next to Gambit, those are my favorite characters. And then when they did the swap with Captain Marvel, I was kind of disappointed, but now it's Shazam. Shazam is the favorite character, but I believe the name was changed recently. I could be totally wrong about that. From my understanding, it was always Captain Marvel. They would say Shazam. Am I wrong? Probably, but that was my childhood favorite. And Static Shock, too. Static Shock is like OG. I love Static Shock. But regardless, that does not make me a woman hater. That does not make me specifically hate anybody. What I dislike are the writers, their points of view, tokenization, stop race swapping, make up your own movies, come up with your own ideas. That's what's being talked about. And you're saying it's a race and gender war that Disney created, that Disney wanted to roll with, and they burnt millions and millions and millions of dollars pushing an agenda, and you cannot hide that fact. That is a fact that they're pushing an agenda. It's been talked about on the news, dude. You realize how big that issue is? That's such an L take.
profitable for him. Even culture war proliferate in media discourse, as this is profitable for him. Even if he didn't know the quote was fake, this shows the lack of research and effort he puts into his work. No discernment, no ability to perform an investigation, and hastily attributes an obviously fake quote in a concerted effort to confirm his biases. Why would you take anything he says seriously at this point? How can you trust he's done the homework? This is not the first time he's been caught manipulating a narrative. The YouTuber Pillar of Garbage exposed Drinker for lying about scenes in Glass Onion because Drinker has a political gripe with Rian Johnson, the director of Glass Onion, and The Last Jedi, a film he and his ilk have pilloried for the past 7 years because of perceived wokeness.
Yeah, this is where you start to hear Birdman's bias. I know it's a film that he really rather enjoys, and don't get me wrong, I enjoyed Star Wars as well. I'm a very huge fan of the big three that came out initially, and I was an even bigger fan after the prequels. I'm sorry, I was at 1%. It was just like, I actually liked them. I enjoyed them as a kid. I did. The new Star Wars are absolute garbage. There is a gender war being pushed into Star Wars. So you're saying that you would stand by the Ray Palpatine, Ray Skywalker. That's understandable, I guess. It's just terribly written, and it's okay to have an opinion that people disagree with. But I watched all these videos. I watched every single one from the Critical Drinker. I watched the ones from Mahler. I watched one from you, Birdman. You just seems to have the only opinion that says that these movies are good. They're not good. And what was it? I might be not correctly quoting exactly what you said, but you did say something along the lines of the audience. You're not the targeted audience, bro. And the conclusion with everyone watching these movies is, who is the audience? That is a fact. Who is the audience when we're going to see Star Wars? Because it's not Star Wars fans. It's not new fans. It seems to be the very specific LGBT alphabet crew that they're targeting. That is a factual statement. That is why these movies did terribly. That is why no one liked this movie, The Last Jedi. I enjoyed Kylo Ren, terribly written. I enjoyed Finn, terribly written. I didn't enjoy the whole movie, and that's a fair critique. With facts and evidence and reasoning and logic, it was a terribly written movie. Terrible. No one is target audience here for. So what are we talking about?
Here's a Johnson, the director of Glass Onion, and The Last Jedi, a film he and his ilk have pilloried for the past 7 years because of perceived wokeness. Here's a clip.
The example Drinky gives for Rian Johnson's blatant rewriting is the scene where Blanc and, as we later see, Helen spot Duke's voyeurism.
Batista's watching his girlfriend supposedly having an affair with Miles, only to be observed by Blanc. Now look at the later version of this exact same scene. Notice how Helen's been added in here when she totally should have been visible before.
Except no, that isn't true. There's a reason the Drinker plays these clips on mute. Let me put the sound back on for you. That was the first time we see this. There's a close shot of Duke, then we hear the twig snap, and then we pull back to a shot revealing Blanc. Here's the scene as we're shown it later on.
I used to spend dozens of hours every single week proofreading. I was constantly fixing run-on sentences.
We start with this slightly wider shot, revealing Blanc and Helen, then Helen leaves, causing that sound, and Duke turns round. This point is the moment we saw earlier on, and there's a very obvious, very obtrusive sound cue, the sole purpose of which is to communicate precisely this. Look, you can enjoy the way moments like this toy with the audience perspective, complementing the film's themes, these ideas of how.
If you ever watched that movie, he actually enjoyed his wife. He is a cuck. Batista in that movie, which this is actually a pretty good movie. I enjoyed it. The two scenes that you see is after when she leaves like her little area with her wine glass and she's like walking out. The investigator guy, I think that's what he is, or if not, the first initial white dude right behind finds him, and then she later finds him hiding behind, triggering the second branch or whatever to be broken. But he's he's a cuck and he's enjoying it. But there's no scene taken out of context. He says, in which we later see, which that is a thing. It's not a deleted scene or anything. It's an outtake. I think people are forgetting that sometimes that you're watching a movie critic that throws snazzy, sometimes cliche jokes into the mix, and you have to differentiate what sarcasm is. Like, again, Birdman, you have a lot of videos in your sarcasm. You have like an alter ego of future Birdman, right? That is the sarcasm. That's the entertainment purposes of your video. Why are we not concluding the same thing? You're taking everything that he says and you're like, concrete evidence, like you said this, you said that, and you're forgetting that there's got to be like an enjoyment to the film. It's not meant to be a specific YouTube video just hating nothing about a film unless you have the context of the person creating them. Like, I realize that you're making sarcastic jokes because I have watched you for a while, and Cinema Sins doesn't even bat an eye at you because apparently you and him talk. So you have to understand, like, the being at a loss for words for why these people are coming to the conclusions that they come to, taking concrete evidence. Like, you can, if you saw the movie, you can conclude like, that's not what happened. Okay, cool. Lying? Come on, man.
We see and how we falsely composite and rationalize these perceptions away from the truth, away from what's really plainly shown to us, or you can dislike it. But what you can't do is lie about how the film constructs moments like these on a mechanical level. And that's what the drinker does here to cap off his video, to build into this last point.
Why would Drinker do that? Is he incompetent, or is he a blatant liar? These are the only...
See how harsh he sounds? Are you incompetent? Or are you a blatant liar? Birdman, you do the same shit with Jeremy. Come on, man. People are gonna get caught up, sure. But call him a blatant liar. Shut up. Shut up. You do it to Jeremy all the time where it's like, you specifically left out this scene and that is not how the scene was supposed to be. You don't call Jeremy a liar, you call him a moron. Come on. Fuck out of here, dude. Stop.
Only two choices you have, and both of them are damning for his reputation. And yet, he doesn't seem to care, because I guess his followers don't seem to care.
I'm a follower of both, Bird. I'm a follower of both. I get entertainment from both of you guys. Now, since then, I had to unfollow you because of this L-ass video. But you've been kind of building up a track record of just taking L after L, and you're guilty of the same thing where your followers are saying like, oh, he's acting like a certain thing. It's because you have mostly liberal followers. I'm sorry. When you say you don't lean on the left or the right, you have mostly liberal followers. You play the race card a lot. You don't talk about tokenization. You bring up old comic movies. You're not talking about the bad writers. You're not playing on both sides of the fence. You're playing on the left side of the fence, and that's just factual, Bird. It's not embarrassing. It's just that as a third person perspective, it's not embarrassing to see that. I'm just saying that you're making yourself look embarrassing because of the far reaches that you try to come to the conclusions of. All these videos are meant to entertain, man. This video is meant to entertain, but this is the first one that I'll be reacting to, critiquing, because no, that's not exactly what he said. If you just follow his channel and truly listen to what he has to say on his podcast, when he goes on shows, he critiques the movie in depth. So like, just because he put out a video saying that, oh, it's just this and then this, that, and he concludes with that, and then you call him a liar, that is true. Okay. But for entertainment purposes, these other people that are making videos about it, they're doing the same thing you're doing. So when we talk about cliches with Jeremy and you're like, you don't like his laugh or something, This is you doing that laugh in video. You're doing what everyone else does. You want your 2 cents in, and then you say he hates women, which makes him an incel, right? So if this guy was truly an incel leader in his little cult, a lot more YouTubers would come out and say that. But the ones that do kind of lean towards the left. So again, it's probably the biggest L you've ever taken that I had to make a video for, because it doesn't make the slightest bit of sense. You're calling him a moron. You're attacking him as a person, like he has a personal vendetta against you, which is not the case. He's just a movie critic, just like you are. If I'm not mistaken, you got your name because you were critiquing CinemaSins. You in a sense punch up, you know. And if CinemaSins ever made a video about you, you'd be like, oh, he's just punching down, using his followers against you, against me, blah 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 blah. He's sending his followers after me. It's like, that seems to be the case with anyone who wants to make any videos and they have a following. There are going to be people that defend you. You know, if my followers were defending me, right, and they came after you, I'm telling my followers, no, that is completely wrong. I might have said something that was actually incorrect. That's not right. That's not okay. But you're making it seem like that you're being a victim here, and I don't want to overuse that word, because that seems to be the conclusion with a lot of people. I'm not getting a victim mentality from you. I'm just saying in this specific instance, you're playing victim to someone who has successfully passed you up. I don't even think his channel was older than yours. If I'll do more research, due diligence. If I get some comments on this video and traction, I will do a video about going into the age of the YouTube channels and how you both came up. But it's an L take regardless. Why do I have to do that? It's entertaining for me. It's entertaining for me to make a video about it, but calling someone stupid and a moron, I would never call you stupid and a moron. I'm just saying sometimes you have wrong opinions, and I can fully say that. It's not me hating you. I don't hate women. They're terribly written movies, and you can't deny that. You can die on that hill all you want, but the truth is they're bad movies. They've always been bad movies.
I mean, he publicly demonstrates that he can't keep up with basic logic all the time. Look at this tweet from Star Wars Holocron. They are very obviously making the point that sometimes a show's first season isn't always where it finally ends up, with a couple examples, including The Clone Wars and Breaking Bad. When Will saw this, I mean, how do you fail at understanding the point this hard? This is one of two things. He either understands the point being made but is attempting to misrepresent the point to, again, galvanize an already volatile audience against a contentious product, thereby sending his parrots to harass this account, which actually audience against a
Breaking Bad is a show for adults. Clone Wars was for the hardcore fans and literally targeted for kids. I had to get through multiple seasons of Clone Wars to even like it. It is not meant for adults, it's meant for kids. It gives you more context as a Star Wars fan. Now, Breaking Bad, that is entirely subjective. Oh, season 1, it takes a while to pick up. That's like saying, well, it's going to take you a while to get into One Piece. It's going to take you about a couple seasons to get into One Piece, but once you finish it, once you catch up to the the story now, you're going to love it. If it's terribly written and it's slow paced, it's terribly written and it's slow paced. Season 1 is not slow paced. For TV shows, season 1s are never slow paced. Like Japanese animes, cartoons, they can be slow paced. Dragon Ball, slow paced. Naruto, super slow paced. Then you get into Shippuden, right? One Piece. There are a lot of other things that are slow paced, but you can kind of grasp where the writer wants to go. You can have a show that does phenomenal, Mandalorian, in the first season, and in the second season, it just goes boom, it crashes. It's like it's not slow paced for Breaking Bad. It's not slow pace for Clone Wars. Clone Wars was always, its entire point was to just give you backstory about Ahsoka and Anakin. That was the entire point of it. It's not slow pace at all. The story has always been written. You're just seeing it.
A contentious product, thereby sending his parrots to harass this account, which actually fucking happened, or he doesn't understand the purpose.
And he's not sending anybody. Birdman, again, once you say something and then a fan does it, you need to correct your fans and say, hey, stop going and harassing them. He can't control everybody. You can't control everybody. It's not harassment, okay, from Critical Drinker at all. It's harassment from the other person, yes. But you cannot control a person, a living being with their own opinion. They've already made up their mind about what they're going to do. And you're guilty of that too. This is your video. Here's your comment section. That's what I said. I've thought about this for a while. Say it again. Go woke, go broke. Okay, I'm in agreement with the go woke, go broke. I don't like the story. At this point, it's been established. It's not an accurate way to describe Disney. I don't know how many times you have to be proven wrong about this, but a critical drinker of all people, man has used logic, math, and science. He uses the same logic as you. You ever thought, why does he do what he does? And it's more of a pushback on the message being pushed that's saying, oh, go queen, yes, queen. And everyone in agreement on both left and right can say that they're terribly written movies, obviously. Just because it grossed a couple millions, it took hundreds of millions. Okay, I said it again. Just because it grossed a couple 100 million and it took nearly, we'll say, 200 something percent to produce the movie and they haven't made it back, that is a loss. That is a net loss. Worldwide opening week, they did terribly. Unless you're looking at The Amazing Spider-Man, because there's a lot of Spider-Man fans and they did the fans justice. He only does that for male white audience. That would be you projecting your feelings onto him, which is true. You're projecting. That is literally you race baiting, which is true. You are race baiting. You're trying to play the victim card. That is you being disingenuous toward him. Many more better critics. And I say it again. That is you being disingenuous towards him and many more better critics. I don't think Birdman is the best critic out there. I have no idea who the best critic is out there, but there are better critics that do the same job as Birdman that are just plainly better. And they're not playing the victim card, and they're not going after only one channel. They make their own entertainment, right? That is you and Future Birdman. That is the original idea that you had, okay? But there's people that are better. There's people better than me. I'm a small little channel. There's people better than me, obviously. In a sense, am I the one punching up? Maybe. You can conclude that. That's not a wrong, but I'm not punching up. I'm just critiquing fairly, non-biasedly. I say you go at it with Jeremy, a poor critic. I'm in agreement with Birdman. He's a poor critic. He used to be good. He's a bad critic now. Now you're talking about one of 4 channels that actually go on a live TV show and have something valuable to contribute. He goes on to Pierce Morgan, I think that's his name, show, and they talk about real world problems. A channel meant to be critiquing movies is talking about real world problems. Movie critic, real world. You need to separate the two. They are not one and the same, okay? Entertainment purposes, what's going on in real life. I don't think what's going on in real life is entertaining at all. I think it's a very serious problem, and statistics show that we are getting stupider as a society. So, my proof of that, where's your proof? SAT scores are lower. General grading is lower. In our school, remember, like a 30 was failing. A 30 is apparently passing. You see it everywhere. Teachers doing it. Teachers taking down flags, putting up LGBT. That is a factual statement, okay? Not me attacking you. It's what's literally happening in the world. You need to separate the two. And then he quotes Destiny. This is sad because you used to do your job well. There is a reason he doesn't respond to you. You're wrong here. Am I being disingenuous when I say that? I think the man is pretty busy. You're busy. So why even make a video about him? He's trying to contribute in making movies better than what they are. He's trying to bring back the Avengers type movies, and he is correct about pushing a narrative. But you've never said anything about how terribly a movie was written. You just critique someone else's opinion on that movie that was terribly written. So it's like, I don't think you have any original ideas of you truly putting your own spin off on things, your own originality, because your personal videos that you put out are just a copy and paste of Jeremy's, CinemaSins, and then you're using his like ding and his counter, and there's a lot more videos of the like you're just copycats of the original thing. Critical Drinker is not a copycat. He's doing his own thing, and you don't like it, and you don't like he's successful. And then you quote Destiny. You lost your way, bro. Whoever quotes Destiny is obviously left-leaning. Who the hell quotes Destiny, of all people? Do we need to take a look at his relationship he has with his wife? Okay, anyways. Here are the comments on yours. So you're saying any one of these guys that are fans of you and they go attack another creator, that's okay with you, or is it not okay with you? I haven't heard your opinion about that. But you're saying that people are being harassed and other people are coming to the chats. But here are your comments. Minute he done actually with Alan. So we have people. I don't even know if this is true, right? I like to point out that the drinker recently deleted his Twitch channel, which had some absolute gold mines of insanity, such as him blatantly admitting that he did not actually watch the Alien Romulus, but rather just watch clips of the pirate site, saying that he cut out part of his Secret Invasion review, telling his fans to how am I supposed to know this is real? 173 votes. Who's fact-checking Zach? Who's fact-checking me? If we're talking about levels of accountability, trust me, I brought the receipts, and I do have one that's a little trolly, but just a general grasp of ideas. So we'll go to the next one. The dude is wearing sunglasses indoors while drinking a whiskey bottle with the caps clearly still on. Tells you all you need to know about him. Sarcasm. I don't think you're allowed to drink alcohol as a profile picture on YouTube. I think you can actually get, that's against TOS. It's alcohol abuse, right? It's supposed to be alcohol abuse, but it's closed for reasons. So there's one moron. We talk about morons that come in and attack. I used to love watching this guy as a kid, but now that I'm older, yikes, he can't always have been this bad, right? I don't know who that's for. I don't know if that's for Birdman or that's for Critical Drinker. 116 votes. I don't specifically, I need more context. Okay, so I think they're talking about Critical Drinker. Around maybe 2017, he was all right. He was all right. Okay. Fair enough. But by 2019, he went off the deep road. This is prior to Avengers. See, I have no idea what the context is. I don't know if they're talking about Birdman or if they're talking about Critical Drinker. I think they're talking about Birdman because they're saying 2017, 2019. I don't care what these rage bait content creators, but I am curious what happened during Loki that sent this dude over the edge. Critical Drinker was critiquing since prior to Endgame, so I think they're talking about Birdman. Which I can agree is there's a downfall in it. In Scotland, we call someone like Critical Drinker a complete and utter Ben Pot. I don't know about you, but I'm not listening to any Scotland's opinion when like 98% of their people are like alcoholics and they don't really do anything with their life. You can fact check me all you want, but find me one person in Scotland that's actually productive, because unless they're in like corporate stuff and they have to do anything with like out of their country, and they just work there, like you're just a regular ass person, bro. No one cares about your opinion. No one cares about my opinion. I'm just you know what I'm saying? Like I'm not leaving myself out of that. I'm in that minority group of when I say something, no one's gonna care. That's just facts. All right, let's expose some grifter as Rep's hands. Like it's like who's to say he's not going to another channel and harassing somebody? So like I can't fact check everybody. You can't fact check everybody. You can't control everybody. I can't control everybody. Let's just agree with that.
Purpose of an analogy. Stupid people do this all the time. You'll say, well, fish swim and Olympic sprinters run, with the underlying logic being how they locomote, and the stupidest person you know will say, Did you just compare a fish to an Olympian? And this is exactly why analogies are on IQ tests. But I'm willing to be charitable to Will and
Okay, mind you, if you're wondering why people are acting stupid nowadays, look at the education system. But remember, you're critiquing the critical drinker and his movie sayings. But now, since it's on a personal level, doing into real life stuff, you might want to look up statistics or like why people are stupid. Logic and reasoning, right? You're just specifically attacking one man. Come with the receipts, bro.
suggest it's the former, that he knows the point that's being made but is misrepresenting it to fit the narrative he's trying to push. I mean, the alternative is to suggest he's low IQ. And I would never do that. His Twitter alone is an
That's his first bit of sarcasm. We're 21 minutes into a 25-minute video. That's his first bit of sarcasm. Okay.
embarrassment of narrative pushes, from platform boosting known anti-black racists like Kang Min Lee to even shit-talking PETA. Because he perceives them to be left-wing, I guess? I don't know, that last one was just amusing to me. So I bring you back to this tweet. What do you honestly think he's saying here? So far,
Nice little throwaway line.
we've demonstrated he will lie or manipulate a narrative, use a member of a group that he regularly targets as a form of plausible deniability, that he clearly has issues with minority groups, and that he perceives women being in these roles to be a political push. Which of the humans in this image fits all that criteria? What this person does is not honest critique. He looks for ways he can jimmy in alt-right political talking points under the guise of being a movie reviewer. And
We're going to end on his video right there because he's going to go into his outro. But isn't that calling the kettle black, Birdman? You do the exact same thing. And when someone calls you out, you are racist, blah, 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 blah. Shut up. That's why I said it's such an L take. Birdman has fallen off. And when he takes himself way too seriously, for one. Okay, let's go into watching a video from Critical Drinker. Okay, let's listen to his honest review. It's 9 minutes 15 seconds. He made a 25-minute video. This is basically calling him a moron, that he hates women, and he's saying stuff about white people in a white written comic, and the tokenization that Catwoman is supposed to be a white female, but Critical Drinker never went over that she's a black female in the film, and he rather enjoyed it, but he thought it was okay. That's the biggest incel I've ever heard of, brother.
Now, I believe it was Newton's third law of motion, which states that for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Unfortunately, it doesn't work quite the same way in the world of corporate entertainment, where the rule would be better described as, for every 50 or so actions, there's an extremely belated and insufficient reaction. A good example of this would be the disastrous series of flops we've seen over the past year or two.
Where's the lie? Where's the lie, Birdman? Where's the lie? He hates women. Where's the lie in what he just said? Mandalorian was good when it started. Loki was good when it started. Season 2, it dropped off and got canceled. Season 2, Mandalorian dropped off, got canceled. Where's the lie?
Projects like Rings of Power, Peter Pan and Wendy, Ahsoka, She-Hulk, Resident Evil, Robin Hood, The Witcher, The Marvels, and most recently, Madam Web.
So again, where's the lie, Birdman? Are you saying that these films were the best ever be created? Are you saying that those films were very good? Huh? He hates women, apparently. We're 35 seconds in. He's nothing but facts. Madam Web, the own actor, actress, whatever you want to refer to them. I call females and males actors. Okay, so it's very early on. I took theater class. Okay, it's been a while. I call everyone actors. Madam Web, the main actress in Madam Web, said that she just did it for money. Like, she was not invested in that story. It was terribly written. She said that. It's in her interviews. You can go and watch it. They're bad, man. Where's the lie?
Why did you say that name? I mean, let's be honest here, that was a movie that anyone with more brain cells than me after 6 pints of Skull Splitter knew was going to be a massive flop, despite having an opening weekend almost as long as its entire theatrical run if it carries on at this pace. I love this quote from The Hollywood Reporter from a North American distributor. On Wednesday night, you could actually watch advance ticket sales declining in real time as buyers were refunding their tickets. It really says something when you'd rather have Shazam 2 numbers. The point is that when a big flop like this happens, the access media tends to scramble to find a convenient and politically acceptable excuse. But in this case, The Hollywood Reporter seems to have made an admission about the film's target audience that I don't think anyone expected. Quote, "I don't know if women are enough to carry the box office here," one veteran studio source outside of Sony says. Indeed, males make up 65 to 70% of the superhero audience in North America. In the case of Madam Web, the percentage of female viewers was still only 46%. Now pay attention, 007, because this one's important. Madam Web was a superhero movie specifically designed to appeal to a female audience. It's got a female lead, a trio of female supporting characters, a female director, and a female-led writing team. And guess what? None of it helped. Women didn't turn out to see it, not in the numbers they needed anyway. It was the same.
So again, statistically speaking, with logic, reasoning, and math and science, where's the lie? You defend Captain Marvel, you would defend Eternals, you would defend Madam Web. Is that the hill you're willing to die on, Birdman? You tell a critical drinker when he's telling lies. He pulled out the receipts, bro. I don't think you did. You put up someone else's. You spun a narrative about a definition of hearing lies so many times it becomes the truth. Well, he's telling the truth, and it's not really a lie that these movies are canonically bad. So, what were we talking about? Huh?
Same problem with the Marvels. That film had 3 female leads, a female director, and an all-female writing team. And what happened to it? The male audience was put off by a movie that did everything except ban them from attending screenings. The much-anticipated female audience failed to show up, and as a result, it was the biggest box office flop in MCU history. So tell me, what exactly did these 2 movies have in common? That's right, they both tried to pander to an audience that was never going to see them in the first place. You know, it's actually kind of funny reading articles from mainstream outlets that cover stuff like this, because it's like watching someone with an almost complete jigsaw puzzle who simply refuses to put the final piece into place because they don't like the picture that it forms. Well, if they won't do it, then I'll have to do it for them. Because here's an inconvenient truth, dear viewer. Men and women tend to be interested in different things.
Oh man! Oh God! Oh man!
I know, it's truly an earth-shattering revelation, but there it is. In fact, if you care to break down the box office statistics by gender, you'll find that women make up 85% of audiences for romance movies and 70% for musicals. Men, on the other hand, make up 70% of the audience for superhero movies, 75% for action movies, and 65% for science fiction and fantasy. In fact, this
Math, science, logical reasoning. Math, science, logistics, reasoning. So you have one film critiquer specifically targeting films. You have one film critiquer that specifically targets film, statistics, logistics, reasoning. He does the math. Obviously, we're seeing it. And he uses real world mixed with his video. That is his whole entire channel. Now you have Birdman, who only critiques movies. Out of the two, can you conclude what you rather have? Would you rather have someone that just critiques and punches up, and that's their whole identity? As he says, he doesn't swing left or right. He's just in the middle, apparently, and then he brings the facts when he's talking about movies, but the exact same thing as a critical drinker. Where is a critical drinker wrong in bringing receipts about who's targeting to whose audience, but you claiming that you're not the target audience, bro? Where is he wrong? Where did he get the facts? Okay, well then now we're having a discussion. Are we all fact checking? Are we all seeing into this? Are we all having an agreement? Whether I liked, let's say the prequels and you hated the prequels, we can have a discussion about that. But odds are, me and you are male and went to go see the movie, and one of us liked it, one of us didn't like it. But we went to go see the movie and we're male, so that we're included in that statistic, which you can reason that both dudes went and watched the movie. It was a higher audience for males. Where is he telling lies?
Nifty little graphic from the British Film Institute breaks down the preferred genres for men and women, and you can clearly see the difference in preference between them. That's not a good or a bad thing, but it is a thing that movie studios should pay attention to. Instead, they've been doing the exact opposite in recent years. They seem to regard audience demographics as a problem that needs to be fixed, instead of the inevitable result of different groups of people having different interests. And the thing is, their solution has produced the worst possible outcome for everyone. In the case of the big box office franchises like Marvel, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Star Trek, and others, which naturally tend to skew towards a male audience, they made a conscious decision to tell more stories with female leads. A lot more. There's nothing wrong with that on the face of it, but whether or not it works all comes down to implementation. Instead of writing likeable and distinctly feminine characters that complemented the existing male ones, the writers and creatives treated it more like a competition that only one side was ever allowed to win. A story about a female protagonist learning to free herself from the oppressive demands of others and discover her true potential is a perfectly viable story to tell. The problems creep in when that becomes the only story that you ever tell, and their standard practice of lazily taking stereotypical male traits and pouring them straight into female characters failed to win anyone over. Men were generally put off by the new crop of overbearing, aggressive, infallible girl bosses who seem to exist purely to show off and humiliate their male counterparts at every opportunity, while women failed to connect with them either because they represented masculine ideals that didn't come naturally to them in a genre that most of them didn't particularly care for anyway. In short,
Okay, so again, so where is he telling lies with Rings of Power and that atrocity? Where is he telling lies with Captain Marvel and that atrocity? And Madam Web, where is he telling lies? Like, he brought the facts, bro. Where is he telling lies? What about any of this says, I hate women? What about any of this says incel? Is that a ban word on YouTube? I'll find out. If they flag me, I'll know it's incels. Where is he telling lies? Because they did terribly. And you critique those movies and you talked highly about them. Where is he telling lies?
Hollywood's wasted billions of dollars chasing an audience that doesn't exist, and in the process they've gradually pushed away the one that did. On the flip side, look at what happens when you actually understand your target audience and make a film that caters specifically to them. Barbie was the biggest hit of 2023, and even if I personally didn't like it, that doesn't matter one bit because it wasn't made for me. It was a movie written and directed specifically for women. Everything from its aesthetics, to its dialogue, to its themes and messaging were designed to appeal to female audiences. And it worked big time. Top Gun Maverick, on the other hand, was aimed primarily at men because it incorporated so many of the masculine tropes and themes that men traditionally find appealing. Action and explosions, advanced technology, fighter jets, militarism, macho conflict and competition. Both of these films achieved massive success because they understood their core audience and how to appeal to them. Now imagine how detrimental it would have been if the studios tried to incorporate elements that appealed to the opposite gender. Like if Barbie's colourful exploration of female identity, empowerment and self-actualization was interrupted by big macho action scenes with guns and explosions and technology porn. Or Top Gun Maverick devoted lengthy sequences to a female pilot lamenting how difficult it is to gain respect in a male-dominated profession while maintaining her sense of feminine identity and her aspirations for marriage and family. In both cases, the core target audience would probably have rolled their eyes and thought, why did they have to inject this crap into my movie and totally spoil the fun? Well, congratulations, now you know how it feels to be a fan of any of the big franchises over the past decade or so. The thing is, I think the message is finally starting to sink in with the good people of Hollywood. Maybe not the creatives, but definitely the soulless money men paying their salaries who've spent the past several years watching their profit margins slowly fall off a cliff. Like I said earlier,
Yeah, so I had time because I knew that it was just going to be nothing but facts brought to the table. I had time to go to the restroom. So again, where is he telling lies about these companies and Disney? We'll say Disney, right? We don't want to hit Disney. Fucking they'll smite me. They'll send the devil after me. Like no one gives a fuck, dude. Or is he telling lies that they did terrible at the box office? Where is he telling lies that they only cater to a certain small minority group of people who don't even want to go watch the film in the first place? It's not made for an audience for you. It's not made for an audience for me. We're both people of color, right? We're both browns, and the shades I see shades of wheat, right? We're all shades of wheat. Bringing race into anything is a silly argument. It is not targeted towards a specific group at all. It's just made to be made. It wasted money. They're going to write it off as a tax. It's a tax write off to them, business expense, whatever. But it did terribly. It was written terribly. It's just terrible. Where is he telling lies here?
For every 50 or so actions, there's a belated reaction from Hollywood, and it's finally starting to happen now. The first domino to fall is Silk Spider Society, a female-centric Spider-Man spin-off in development at Amazon Prime. According to the press releases, the entire writing team's been fired, and the show is being refocused with a more male-skewing audience in mind. Now, this might not sound like much of a big deal, but it is, because it's the first time that a studio had the balls to publicly declare that they're targeting a project towards a male audience again. In 2024, that's the equivalent of a vegan restaurant saying that their new menu's going to cater towards meat eaters. It's the first time that anyone in Hollywood's openly admitted that what they've been pushing on us for the past decade or so just isn't working, no matter how much money they throw at it. That you can't make every movie.
Well. Statistically, and using our logical reasoning and our math and science skills of a basic infant, we can conclude that there is no lies being told here because they're terrible movies. Maybe the education system now would be reaching, but I'm pretty sure us millennials that were born in 94 and previously can conclude that he's telling the truth here. There is no lies being told. Sorry, I don't live on the internet and I make that my whole identity. It's just really silly to go after someone who is actually critiquing a company who makes terrible movies. You critique individual movies. See the difference? You're not talking about Disney directly. He talks about Disney directly. That does not make him a woman hater by the slightest. You are a mile from that conclusion.
Appeal to every person, that trying to attract female audiences into a male-dominated genre with clumsy pandering doesn't work and never will work. In the words of Nerdrotic, all they're doing is taking boy brands that everyone could enjoy and turning them into girl brands that no one enjoys. So what exactly can we expect now that the pendulum's starting to swing the other way? And more importantly, what do we want to see moving forwards? Well, believe it or not, I don't think their approach needs to change that radically if they want to win back old fans and restore a bit of balance. Franchises like Marvel, Star Wars, DC, and Star Trek can still have plenty of kick-ass female heroes going on exciting adventures. They just need to be written more like actual human beings with believable flaws and weaknesses and challenges to overcome, instead of overbearing, obnoxious power fantasies that nobody can identify with. And they need to be balanced out by equally strong and capable male heroes that appeal to male audiences. Because believe it or not, those are the driving force behind your box office revenue. They need characters who can actually challenge and push them to be better, who don't automatically give way to them at the slightest sign of conflict, instead of the neutered lumps of wet lettuce that we've been getting, who are always portrayed as less smart, less skilled, less confident, and well, just less in general. And yeah, after almost a decade of trying to make it work, I think it's about time to accept that the great experiment has been a complete failure. You're not going to get equal numbers of women to watch science fiction or action or superhero movies, just like you're not going to get equal numbers of men to watch romance flicks or musicals. The girl boss concept is dead. You might not like it, but your audience is your audience all the same, and if you don't start catering to them, you might just find that they no longer exist, and perhaps neither will you. Anyway.
And we're gonna wrap up. Okay, so here's a trolley one. So let's pull up some statistics about Marvel. you know, I'm really seeing a lot of 7s. I think the overall percentage is pretty good. Max rating 100%. Look at all the different Grim Reaper, Galactus. Wow, these characters of male, females, they seem to be have proceed very nicely. They're all 7s. Oh wait, this is a video game. This is a character with the power grid rating. Okay, I'm sorry. Just that's my mistake. I need to do more amateur. What is it? I need to do more amateur. Give more context. Okay, sorry. That's a video game. Sorry. Here are the actual statistics. Box office rise and fall. So we have the Avengers. Billions, man. Avengers, great movie. Iron Man, great movie. The Dark World, okay. We're talking millions, right? Winter Soldier, okay movie. Guardians of the Galaxy, I personally thought it was very good. Obviously, it's not going to scale. Look at the comparison. Age of Ultron, very good movie, billions of dollars. Ant-Man, Captain America Civil War, very good movie. Doctor Strange, good movie. Then we have Guardians and then we started getting into that bullshit of the narrative. You said 7 years, right? We're going to go over 7 years worth of movies being produced. This is all that they could ever produce. So Guardian, when we go into Ragnarok, Black Panther, look at fucking Black Panther, Avengers, Ant-Man, Wasp, Captain Marvel that was stacked between Infinity War and Endgame. And they thought it was going to be a well-written movie, right? That is the only explanation for its money. I'm not getting caught up here. It's just look at this. Look at the timing. Boom, boom. Phase 4 is what we're going to talk about. MCU, right? Here's Captain Marvel. There's your other Spider-Man. Pandemic. Now we're into a couple 100 million. Worldwide. Remember, this is worldwide. Worldwide. Pandemic. Oh, look. Black Widow. 10 Rings. Eternals. Then we go into Spider-Man No Way Home. See, oh, look. Spider-Man No Way Home that had a lot of male lead characters. Did phenomenal. Then you have Multiverse. Doctor Strange. People loved it, right? Then Thor: Love and Thunder. I don't know about you, but that's a Thor movie, right? That's a huge drop. Where's that other Thor movie? The original introduction of Thor. Okay, remember what you said about it has to slowly build? So the Thor fans to Thor: Love and Thunder, you have those same fans still showing up astronomically, still below. Then we have Wakanda Forever. Black Panther is a very well-received movie. People that went to this didn't enjoy it. People that went to it didn't enjoy it. Doesn't mean that they're not counting the money spent to go see it. And we can go into a video about that, and I can pull up receipts about that. Then we have Ant-Man, who did worse than the first Ant-Man. That's supposed to be part 2. That's supposed to be like Thor. And then we go all the way down into the Marvels. So looking at the Marvels, it was received terribly. So it's been a pretty long video, but I think my opinion stands where it stands. More factual evidence of Birdman and Critical Drinker. Just absolutely, I don't know what Birdman is doing. But we're going to go back to gameplay, and that'll be the end of the video. I know it's stupid long, but